With the relatively recent release of Season 17, I felt I have had enough time to establish my tank rankings from the perspective of a high plat to low diamond tank player. So today I'm breaking down that tier list, and it's based on real experience. Starting with the F tier as usual, and this tier is for the tanks that right now feel more like target practice than anchors. The first hero in this list is one that I can't stand playing into as Zarya because, well, he's got a shield that's massive and has a lot of HP. That hero, of course, is Reinhardt. Outside of rare moments where I get rolled by a Rein 1 trick, he just struggles. It's very rare that I see a Rein hold space meaningfully unless the player's absolutely cracked. Rein seems to have a deceptively high skill floor for such a simple kit. It's not about just holding W and keeping your shield up and then pinning someone off the map when it's time. It's about cooldown discipline, corner pressure, and your shield economy. Without great positioning, he's just a free ult battery. Rein's value drops drastically when your supports can't play around his static position. I also find that Rein comps often rely on almost perfect team synergy, which is incredibly rare when you're playing in below diamond. Rein can work, don't get me wrong, but when the enemy has range or poke, his shield seems to melt faster than ice cream in July. In that unfortunate scenario, he's got brawler DNA in a sniper's world. To recap, in my point of view, Rein needs support, team synergy, and positioning mastery to be viable right now, and he lands in the F tier for me. This next pick used to be the bane of plat lobbies and, quite frankly, my personal existence. That hero is Maui. I mean Mauga. He was way too dominant for way too long in lower ranks due to his easy value and, of course, being incredibly broken on release, which has left like some serious PTSD for me. That said, Mauga now feels like a different hero entirely. I've learned to bait out cardiac overdrive and then once it's over, punish him consistently. Teams that learn to play around that one cooldown make him look laughably bad right now. Ana is a Mauga counter with her anti-nade and sleep dart. Huge cooldown check. If Mauga misses a cool window, he becomes an overrunning damage farm. Mauga also struggles when he can't keep line of sight on his supports for heals. Once his ammo runs dry mid-fight, that reload delay is a death sentence, particularly if you're like me and you have a horrible habit of reloading all the time. His hitbox is as massive as Ninja's low taper fade, and he's easy to track and punish. To recap, Mauga is very punishable after he uses cardiac overdrive, and it absolutely shows once people got used to him, and of course once he got his much needed nerfs. This next tier is for the tanks that get picked, do nothing, and still for some reason blame their supports for not healing them. Starting with the first, which is a very misunderstood hero more than any other tank in my lobbies. That hero is Hazard. Hazard is not a dive tank. He's not even pure brawl either. He plays like some sort of hybrid between the two, similar to Ramatra's hybrid ability to play between poke and brawl, but a little clunkier. I have seen Hazard play decently well in the OWCS, but certainly not in ranked for some reason. His movement and tech requires timing and spacing that lower ranks just don't seem to understand. Too many players treat him like Reinhardt with the ability to leap forward just a little bit and then climb a wall for a short distance. When played well, I think he has a lot of potential, but it's very rare that he's played well. His ability to hold an angle is solid, particularly if he uses his wall very well, and his ability to climb up the walls and using his right click combined just helps him, but unfortunately when you use them poorly, he's just handing out free ult charge via damage. Good hazards use their utility to help peel and to take space. Bad ones seem to use it like a party trick. In short, Hazard to me has a learning curve that 90% of the players in Diamond and below are not trying to climb. This next hero landed here because it seems like the two types of players that play her look really bad on two very different extremes. That hero is Junker Queen. One type W keys, dives deep, and then flames their supports when they die alone. The other walks up slowly, almost timidly, and uses shout to cross the street and gets bodied. Her kit can do a lot and is very self-sustaining, but timing is everything. Most people don't seem to time Carnage or use shout to initiate her back up properly. And for that first type, she's incredibly hard to heal because a lot of times it seems like there's an Ana Zen in the back line that she just left back there, and is aggressively missed positioning. I do love Queen's identity, how she's built, and all of the different abilities she has, but most players either overextend or play her like a weird version of Orisa. A great Queen makes brawls chaotic and unhealable, but bad ones seem to just be shark food. If you shout and use your axe too early, the rest of your team is left hanging. To make a long story shorter, Junker Queen's kit is very strong, but the execution in my ranks and lore seems to be a huge problem. This tier is for tanks that are situational. Sometimes genius, sometimes throwing. Let's kick it off with a hero that is basically unkillable when played well, but useless after that time. That hero is Roadhog. The self-sustain from Take a Breather makes Hog solid for supports who like to not just shove their healing into a tank. But even with self-sustain from that, without his hook and pin-pen combo, he's just a fat target. Hog players often seem to rely too much on that one pick combo. If that fails, Roadhog essentially becomes a bullet sponge, feeding ult charge, and is grossly out of position. While he lives, it doesn't really do much good. And yet, for some reason, the people that play into one seem to tunnel vision on him, so he kind of works. It's hilarious how often Hog just survives purely from misdirection. He'll miss 3 hooks and then 180 insta-delete the Kiriko who is misapplying Awkward's 4-step plan. Roadhog is polarizing. He seems to either carry or feed his brains out. There is no in between. This next hero is one that I wish I could main, but the CC in this game says no. That hero is Wrecking Ball. I love Hammond's playstyle. Disruptive, mobile, and chaotic. His ability to bait attention and live still is unmatched, but his counters seem to be abundant. You have Ana's Sleep Dart, Sombra's Hack, Orisa's Spear, and Cassidy's Nade. One single cooldown from any of those heroes and countless others can ruin his whole game plan. Without some sort of CC immunity, he's playing Overwatch 1 still, while the rest of us have moved on to Overwatch 2. Ball also suffers from teammates not playing around his chaos. If your DPS doesn't engage during his pile drive, the dive definitely doesn't get as much value. However, if you're a good Wrecking Ball player, you should be diving single targets and actually being able to get the picks, so I guess that point is kind of moot. Wrecking Ball can be an exceptional hero, but the CC in this game seems to ruin his potential. Listen, if this kind of video is your thing, you should consider supporting me on Patreon. We've got a Minecraft server just for my patrons at the 2nd tier and up. Or for $5 a month, you can come queue quick play in Overwatch 2 with myself and the other patrons every other Friday. You can check that out in the description. This tier is for the tanks that show up and make you go, I may actually have a little bit of a challenge here. Starting with the first, the absolute staple of the B tier heroes for tanks, and that would be Sigma. He is the definition of a solid, well-rounded tank, in my opinion, and I'm fairly certain I'm not alone. He's never overpowered, and he's never too weak. He's just kind of always there. Sigma's shield placement and the way that it works makes him feel like you actually have to kind of engage your brain a little bit. And his other 2 cooldowns let him control the tempo like very few others can. The rock that he uses, it's the don't touch me button for dive heroes, and it's hilarious. Sigma also pushes back enemies with good positioning on good angles, almost like it's his job. That pesky Widowmaker is holding that angle and completely dumpstering your team because they don't know how to stop walking in a straight line in her general direction. Yeah, just throw your shield in front of her. That one Genji is just hard diving your team and none of your team seems to be able to hit a shot. Use the rock and make him completely immobile. I think they can hit a not moving target. In essence, Sigma is just really reliable. He's flexible and often one of the smartest tank picks in general, and I will die on that hill. This next hero makes me want to go have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for no apparent reason. That hero is Winston. For some ungodly reason though, Winston players have this ability to dive into 4 players with their bubble and survive after eliminating them all despite a low damage output like it's nothing. As many of you have probably seen in a very funny clip where I made a very poor play, somehow when I do it, I explode before I even seem to land and stick around too long. Another thing that I've seen is Winston's primal juggling being a wonderful art, and some people have mastered it. I have not yet. His bubble, while it has a low amount of HP, when used intelligently, it's actually really good at helping him maintain a space. Winston also requires the ability for you to read and pay attention to your teammates. Without coordination, or at least your ability to pay attention, it seems like you just feed. But with that coordination, or your ability to just turn around and realize where your team is, he makes the enemy supports cry into the pillows at night. Final thoughts on Winston. While his learning curve is definitely a bit steeper than most of the tank heroes, he is incredibly game-breaking when he's put into the right hands. This next one will not surprise too many of you that I've at least maintained in B tier, but I still don't rate her any higher than B tier. That hero is Zarya. She's my one trick, and she's a carry tank when she's charged, but completely useless even with charge when bubbles are down and your supports have stopped looking at you. Poor bubble usage equals instant deletion. She punishes enemies well, but gets punished even harder when she overextends. She's incredibly fragile under pressure, despite looking like a thick muscle mummy. Most Zarya players don't know how to build up her charge properly, myself included. I'm still figuring it out a little bit. And on top of that, even with high charge, poor tracking makes it completely useless. To no one's great surprise, I love Zarya, but she is an incredibly high risk and a high reward tank. Seriously, you should give Zarya a try. Don't let this fool you. She's incredible. But don't be like me, use your right clicks more. This next tank I used to suck with. If you want to know, just go watch me one trick him for 10 games. It was bad. That hero is Doomfist. Doom is slippery, mobile, but surprisingly kind of tanky. His charged punch value is huge in these low to mid ranks. It seems like most players charge that punch while he's blocking on cooldown. It's just free pressure for him. And on top of that, Doom's slam ability gives him the ability to either go straight into the middle of the enemies that are low and punch them all into a wall, or to disengage at a very rapid pace. He thrives on displacing targets and causing chaos. But when he misuses those cooldowns, he feeds his freaking brains out. And they say Doomfist is slept on, but he's terrifying when he's mastered. This tier is for the tanks that I get excited to see a challenge from just by them being picked the second I see them on the enemy team. Starting off with a very strong hero that's been strong way too long. She's practically meta furniture at this point. That hero is D.Va. Her mobility and burst damage make her absolutely lethal. Defense matrix, deletes ultimates, and healing to the enemies she is attacking alike. It's also very dynamic, so you can continue to move it versus most abilities to delete ultimates or block healing where they are static. She can continue to move it to wherever she's targeting. Also, the major perk that allows her to use her DM and gain health advantage for it is absolutely insanely strong. D.Va's also one of the few tanks who can realistically solo carry even if her positioning is terrible, because she has the booster ability on a relatively short cooldown to go in and back out very quickly. D.Va has been a consistent A tier for a while. She's durable and insanely versatile. In my opinion, this next hero's gotten way more hate than she deserves, even from me. That hero is our wonderful horse, Orisa. Her javelin spin and fortify combination make her a brick wall if you rotate those abilities correctly. I have died to Orisa's environmental picks way more than I want to admit, because she's not really a hero I ever think about being able to spin me off an edge or charge a spear and throw me off the edge. Orisa lets her supports pocket the DPS or do some aggressive damage themselves without worrying about their tank as much. She's very easy to pick up, and I would even go so far as to say she's not that difficult to master. I do know that she's incredibly boring to some, but she's insanely effective consistently throughout the seasons. Basically, the only time she becomes not viable is when Zarya is meta, which you show me when Zarya was meta in the last little while, okay? I'm hurting. This final tank, at this point, if you are smart enough, you have done this by process of elimination, and you know we are going to talk about the legend Ramattra. Ramattra can brawl, poke, sustain, and lead all at once. He's always in a power position thanks to his cooldown overlap between Nemesis form and his barrier. Even in the OWCS that I got to watch, it seems like he's played pretty consistently. His vortex ability and his shield also allow him to control multiple angles at the same time. To me, that's one of the most fascinating things that I've learned about him, as he is now my second tank that I play whenever Zarya is not banned. It seems like you can hold an angle with his vortex, put up your shield and hold another one, and continue to brawl on the point with cover in Nemesis form. It's insane how crazy his ability is to essentially be like Sigma and control different angles, but it seems like almost a Sigma on steroids in some ways. His ultimate is also one of the scariest fight winners in the game. You can seemingly just stand on point and hold that ult up and block, and your team can kill everything if you don't. To no one's great surprise, Ramattra is A tier until further notice. Listen, if you liked how I constructed this list, or even if you didn't, you should check out my tank rankings from Season 16. They've changed a lot between then and now. That video is of course on your screen now. Guys, the cart! There is no way we didn't move the cart.